Hi, everyone. I'm Dave.
And I'm Jeremy.
Welcome to our Tech Over Coffee podcast. We're so thankful to Chipola College for sponsoring our podcast. First of all, we get to film in this beautiful studio here in Marianna, Florida, at the main campus of Chipola College. And secondly, we get to talk about technology, business concepts, ideas that really pertain to topics that are discussed throughout the programs, whether it's certificates, associate degrees, baccalaureates. We get to talk about these key concepts, even stuff that we've researched before, bringing it into this podcast. So, Jeremy, what do you have for us to get started today?
We've got a handful of topics today. We're going to be talking about Facebook. We're going to be talking about Hyundai. We're going to talk a little bit about Tesla because we got to talk about Tesla. And let's talk about Sony, some video games.
Now, Facebook, is that what used to be called Face Mash, like back in the Harvard, Cambridge days or something?
I think it was MySpace. Was that what it?
No, that was
like.
No,
sorry, that's a different thing. That doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, you upped my curveball. Nice.
Yeah, so Facebook, everybody knows Facebook. I mean, come on. Yeah, it goes way back. You actually had the Winklevoss twins, this whole thing. I mean, you want to talk about Bitcoin and stuff. Let's talk about Bitcoin instead. So, Facebook's big problem of the day, because it's always problems happening with Facebook, right? 533 million phone numbers have been leaked.
You said 530?
533 million.
Wow, that is a lot.
That's a whole
lot.
But
there's no way that the CEO's number would be included.
Yeah, so if you wanted to give Mark a phone call, right?
We should.
Give the Zuck a call.
We should.
We might be able to.
Do you have his? Can we get his phone number somewhere?
I gotta find that leak first and talk to the hacker. But don't worry, his phone number was included too.
Oh,
so we'll be able to get to it.
Is that like sweet justice? What is that?
It kind of is, but it's also really messed up for a whole lot of people.
That's bad mojo, bad business.
Well, bad for security too, because a lot of people actually use Facebook as part of their security apparatus. Like Facebook is a method of login for a lot of websites.
Right.
When you just uses your phone number.
When you ask people, hey, are you on the internet or check this out on the internet? To them, that's Facebook.
Yeah.
So wow,
Facebook is that big portal, and basically everyone that's got an account has been breached.
So reading about it, right, it sounds scary, and that is scary, but it's worldwide, and we think it might be 30 million or so. We'll have to verify that, just in the U.S., so it's not every citizen in the U.S.
No.
I'm not on Facebook, so it wouldn't be me.
It's only 10% of the population. Of course. Yeah, look me up. I'm not going to accept your friend request.
You're not on Facebook.
I actually am.
Oh, okay, well,
because why would I get rid of it? They already have all my stuff.
Okay.
And the way it works, right, is that even if you don't have an account, they still have information on you based on other people around you.
That's true. That's true.
It's a good way for communication, honestly. That's how I use it. If I've got some people that I haven't talked to in forever and they want to contact me, they don't have my phone number, well, they can get it now.
That's true. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. That's the main social media. Though I did create a Cube back in the day.
Yeah. If you ever want to check out cube.me.
That's nice.
It's QUUB.
So that's an awful breach. Wow, privacy
really big
not working well.
Yeah. And Facebook's kind of had a history of, Cambridge Analytica way back was scraping the whole website for people's information. So this is just another situation. And this happened actually a while back, and it's just new hackers have come along and tried to spread it around more easily. So now it's all just available free on the web, when I think before you may have had to pay for it.
Right. So I think it was 19 or so, and Facebook already fought it in court and lost. But part of their negotiated settlement was they didn't say they did anything wrong, but they just paid $3 or $5 billion.
It was publicly available information if you just went through some apps and stuff and had different confirmations. Who knows how this breach happened? But Facebook needs to get on top of it, because I didn't want to spread my phone number around like that.
That's right. That's right. And lastly, like you said, I was reading just today that it is free through some locations on the internet, maybe the dark web, or maybe just locally. It sounds like people are going to.
It's kind of all over the place, basically. And that's a lot of phone numbers. So it's it's going to end up on those spam calls, the perfect way to get all of that. Everyone's on the list now.
Yeah, and it may lead to, so beware of some malware, right? You might see a little pop-up, hey, download Facebook dataset, and you may think, oh, that looks kind of cool, but don't do that.
Don't do that. Do not download virus.exe. That's not a good thing to run on your computer.
True.
So I think leading out of that, let's talk about Sony and their kind of problems going on. So they're shutting down their PlayStation Network and I think PlayStation Plus networks from PlayStation 3 back to like PlayStation Vita and the other handheld console they had. So they're basically shutting off access for purchasing come July, or I think June or something like that, which is going to make upwards of like 2,000, 3,000 games unavailable for purchase, and then over like 130 games that just aren't going to be available anywhere.
So Sony's taking a good business practice, right? Where they're saying, hey, we're going to phase out this stuff. We'll give you a decade. We'll give you 5 years. How are they playing it, Jeremy?
Well, the way they're deciding to do it is just announcing out of the blue, we're going to shut down the servers. Buy them as quick as you can, because if you have it and you own it, you can still download it, but it's not going to be available for purchase. I mean, they really kind of have no reason to leave it out there unless they like really like their fans, which that's part of the issue, is that the guys that are in charge of sales and marketing on Sony, I guess, don't really support the old consoles like they it's like some people like me think they really should.
Right, so PlayStation has the new consoles out, and they're encouraging people to buy the new stuff, integrate, and the old stuff's great, but let's move on. People are being slow. A lot of people, like you said, yourself included, like the old stuff. It's popular. It's still out there. You almost anywhere you go, you visit friends, you'll see some of the older PSPs. So the Plus environment as well included, but just the PlayStations is the main point here. But you'll see some challenges. Instead of people opting for the new stuff, they're kind of dragging their feet. And so Sony's saying, well, this summer, if you don't own any of this old stuff by then, sorry, it's over. So there's going to be this mad rush to buy any of the new old stuff by this summer, just to have access to it after this deadline.
Or what's more likely to happen here is that if Sony doesn't provide people an easy and equitable place to acquire these titles, people will just go elsewhere. And you'd think, oh, well, if Sony doesn't provide it, there's no way to get it. But internet piracy is all over the place, right? So there are going to be people that will go download these games, whether they pay for it or not, and then make it available for other people. And if Sony isn't actually selling it, at some point there is a precedent that it becomes basically abandonware or freeware, where if they're not providing it for sale and you can't purchase it anymore, then it's basically free. So anyone can get it. And so that's what's really going to happen, because it's proven time and time again with companies like Nintendo, companies like Sony, even Microsoft hasn't fully supported their older online libraries. And so it's up to the people that actually care about it to download it and preserve it for others.
So a piracy person would totally say that, right? It's going to be freeware, but not really, kind of, but well, I guess it will. But bring in a couple of disparate, similar thoughts here. Microsoft, I think, is making a play at Discord.
Yeah, I have seen something.
Right, so you could see a Discord channel maybe running this older version of the PS stuff.
Maybe.
Who knows? That wouldn't be the right.
That's going to be an interesting thing, because I don't know. I mean, Microsoft might want to go about acquiring Discord, but I don't know if Discord wants to be acquired.
Ooh. Do they have a choice?
Well, I mean, in this day and age, when you get thrown that much money, do you really have a choice? I don't know.
Right.
But I mean, Discord being the gamers chat room.
One of our favorite things at the college. Yeah,
really like Discord. I mean, we're talking about games. Get on with the Chipola gaming community. We've got a Discord that could use more people to talk with.
That's right. We need to promote it more. Yeah. So
we really do.
Do a whole segment on that sometime.
So
there could be some piracy involved in this stuff. They say, hey, after this date, you got to have all the old new stuff bought, because all that'll be left is the new stuff.
Right, and that's what they do, is that basically they're saying they're only going to support about a generation behind, and maybe only for a few years. So it's kind of a bad situation, because maybe you want to come back to this in 10 years, but it won't actually be readily or easily available, at least not from the primary sources. Trust me, the internet has ways of keeping things around.
True.
Like Mark Zuckerberg's phone number.
Yeah, I'm sure he's getting someone to answer that, or he has a new one now.
Oh, he's immediately. I'm sure he's got 4 different phones. This is my Facebook phone. This is my work phone. This is my home phone. I mean, come on. He's Mark Zuckerberg.
So to bring
pulling them out of his pockets, ready to go.
Yes, if anyone could, he could. So to bring Microsoft back in the conversation, which isn't something we necessarily enjoy doing, but so that Sony's taking a kind of a note from the playbook of Microsoft with XP and then before that 98.
Yeah,
people were like, no, we like 98. Don't do that. No, we love XP. People loved XP,
Yeah.
myself included.
XP was really good,
Yeah.
and a lot of people wanted to keep it. But that's for like security concerns that you want to upgrade from those. But with older games, it's not the same sort of thing. So it's what this is Sony doesn't want to maintain servers that cost them money, and in their opinion, isn't being utilized very much. So they're kind of just pushing it out on the market and actually kind of doing a Disney style thing where Disney likes to take their old movies and put them away in the vault.
Oh,
So this is
yeah.
Sony's way of like hiding away some of these games, and honestly, some of these will never come back out of the vault. But again, you can always go and take it off from someone else's hard drive if you wanted to.
So
right?
that's a great example for Disney. There's really no competition for Disney. Do you think there's a competition for Sony? Are they just going to take it? Or, I mean,
It
are they
depends on
going
the
to go
situation.
to Microsoft for the Xbox?
What's unfortunate is that because of the way that they're doing this, they didn't like announce it a year ahead of time or say, hey, we're going to support these titles for 5 years, and after that, they're free game.
Which would have been a really good business tactic.
Yeah, it's a different move. They're just deciding, okay, we're going to stop in a couple months, and there are people that were developing games that were not ready and are going to have to be quickly released or redeveloped for another platform. And so they might be moving over to Microsoft or something else. And for some of these titles, they're old, they're like being held up in different copyright situations. You don't know who owns the rights. And some of these studios don't even exist anymore. So it's really about Sony's decision of holding on to these properties that really don't even make them money. And they're just like, get rid of them. Nobody cares, but some people do.
So the customers, the gamers are going to just take it, right? They really don't have an option.
Yeah, you have to. Well, the thing is that the option to fight back is to pirate it. So that is the way of fighting back, but not everyone will do that. So some people are gonna, go the right way and purchase it, and some people will just, move on and play the new game because really not all of those games are that great or that amazing, or they can be found somewhere else. So there's a lot of different things, but it's an interesting move, and it's another precedent setting situation.
It is, yeah, and Sony's a big player in the marketplace.
Oh
so.
yeah, I mean Sony's the one of the big three. You've got Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony running the console gaming system. I mean, you have PC games, but PC games even have some of these same issues because you have a PC game released, and at the moment, it's all being held up with like Steam or Epic Games as the major like launch platforms, but they're always available at some website or on a CD or something like that. But for this, it's a digital only platform. So a lot of these games were only released there and only released digitally, so you can't get it any other way.
Great topic.
Yeah, it's a really good one, and I mean, it's really close to home for me because I love games, and being the admin and financier of the Chipola gaming community.
Very true.
Always talking about things that are close to home. But let's jump a little further away from home, go over to China, and talk about some cool drone stuff going on, because who doesn't like drones?
Yeah, that's amazing. About 10 years ago or so, I was doing some research with the Naval Research Lab, didn't prep you at all in this conversation, and something that they talked about would have been neat, which is definitely out there being used now, but was more of a prototype, was the small size drones that they could just release, say, in a grid, in a wooded area and terrain, and it could just have sensors and and network automatically and bring that information back. So now that's publicly accessible.
Yeah.
And look at the technology of autonomous drone technology
Giant
today.
drone swarm. So it's the new Guinness Book World Record, like biggest drone swarm, was accomplished by Hyundai Genesis
In China.
in China, because of course that's where it's going to be because of all the drones. And I imagine some like FAA rules about like you can't have these many drones because what happens if they crash a plane or something, right?
Oh yeah, that might be one reason why it
But
hasn't happened here.
China's
right?
got
Yeah.
special areas and situations. So previously it was held by a Shenzhen-based company.
China.
In China. Now it's actually Hyundai, which we believe is
It's
it's
Korean,
a Korean
we
company.
think, yeah.
So they flew 3,281 drones all at once to create the Genesis logo in the sky.
Amazing.
Massive, huge, really neat. And
the
kind of
logo looks
scary.
perfect.
Yeah,
it's
it's a little scary because
Right.
you never know what they can do with that otherwise. But huge drone swarm, like 3,000 plus, all in like perfect configurations, and they all have to like link up with each other and not crash or do anything crazy, and they did it. It's really impressive.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The technology, maybe using some GPS functionality with that, makes you think of what Elon Musk, got to bring in Elon Musk when we
Yeah.
can, do him with Starlink, right? Just having items positioned.
It's very
So,
similar.
so that's fantastic because that logo is amazing.
Yeah,
You have the
just
Genesis
perfect.
logo, and then you have the word Genesis.
And it's almost like it's like a hologram, but not a hologram, right? And I guess maybe that's the way we'll possibly do that. Is you have a little flying machine that emits an image because it's just a bunch of LEDs on a drone and positioned in right ways. So that's exactly what a TV screen is. It's just a bunch of LEDs positioned in right ways. So you have a bunch of drones. They represent pixels. You can create images in the sky that are massive, impossible to think of otherwise. Like, just wait until they start doing the like Spider-Man, like
Ooh.
scaring people with the drones and stuff.
Well, in a good way, right? Yeah, Spider-Man actually kind of using his Spidey powers, jumping around.
Yeah,
That'll definitely catch some attention. So you think about the technology that's out there already. They're saying that this could be a new marketing step, utilizing autonomous drones. That everyone will be one up in the other. So where does it end?
Oh, they're just going to keep going and going. Eventually, it's going to be 1 million drones flying through the sky, stealing people's phone numbers from Mark Zuckerberg.
But probably not here because FAA.
No,
I mean,
probably not here,
Yeah.
at least for a while, until there are too many drones that the FAA can't do anything about. What do we do then?
True.
Maybe Elon will tweet about it. Who knows?
Right. Speaking of Elon's tweets.
Yeah. So Elon getting in hot water for tweeting, like as usual, right? So this time, it's he has some opinions on unions, I think, that he was tweeting about, and that has put him in hot water, considering that he's a CEO of a big company, and you can't really go out and like trounce on people's rights for like unionizing and stuff. It is in America, right? So he's getting in hot water on that, but Tesla is fighting back and actually taking it to court because it becomes this like free speech issue where it's like, where's the separation between Elon as a person who can say whatever he wants and Elon as a representative of the company?
So unions have an important role to play in the marketplace. And Elon, boy, I don't want to compare where we work to Tesla, but we try to have a fun environment where we're flat and we can interact and stuff together as a team. We don't have the hierarchical approach, very much like Tesla, where they probably all just work as a team. And so the downside with that, he doesn't really have a formal PR department, doesn't look like. So Elon is the PR department.
They've completely eliminated their PR department, actually, as far as I know.
For more engineers, most likely.
Yeah, right.
And so he's just asked a question, and it's not filtered, and he just says whatever. And that's unfortunate. But he has to remember that he is a CEO of a publicly traded large firm.
Yeah, and I mean, he can say whatever he wants, right? But then it's up to these regulators to bring them in and say, can you actually be saying this? Because now we need to investigate like what's going on in your business. And hey, I guess that's the risks he's taking and willing to take. And in the end, it's kind of working out for him. I mean, I think it's better to have this open discussion with these big CEOs rather than them just hiding in the boardrooms and not telling us anything. So at least Elon's like out and up front and like speaking with people, because really, there's no one else you can just go and tweet at and he'll be like, yeah, I'm putting rocket boosters on my car. So in this instance, it's about unions and how he doesn't necessarily support them. And well, Tesla as a growing company, of course, they want to avoid all the red tape. But things evolve, and I think unions are a good thing. And it's something that can be necessary, but it's something you have to work through, right?
Yes, and speaking of that, it wasn't really on our agenda, but some unions, I guess, gained some court approval in regard to Amazon.
That's right.
And so there's some momentum there, and boy, that could change the whole tech environment where people really focus on projects and doing some high-level performance as a team. And how do unions fit in that? I mean, they go hand in hand. I mean, but...
Well, especially considering, did you know that Amazon's the second largest employer in the country?
Wow, I did not know that.
So they're very large, and of course that would be why they need to start looking at unions and unionization for their employees, because they have so many. And in many conditions that are not always conducive to the employees having the best situations. Because like if you're trying to get boxes and packages out, you're just pushing people to do as much as they can and have no breaks and all of that. You kind of have a little bit of oversight. And it's the way that they've grown. Who really expected Amazon to become as huge as they are? And I haven't looked it up. I don't know who number one is, but to be number two, that's really big. I mean, it's Amazon.
Right, and kind of to do an Elon Musk play here, unfiltered, So during that whole court proceedings, Amazon said, because there's thoughts out there, they put so much emphasis on performance that employees don't have a chance to take breaks, bathroom breaks and stuff. They said, oh, that's not the case. And now they have just admitted, yes, employees do have some problems, challenges because of us with this. So they just came out with that just last week. So it's a challenging time, and a union could help solve that.
And unfortunately, the way it might work out is that Amazon might have to slow down a little bit, because if they're pushing it past the point that people are able to be comfortable and actually work in a good environment, then they'll have to pull it back some. And maybe deliveries can't happen exactly in 2 days. Maybe it's a little bit longer or whatever. There have been some bad situations that people were talking about with Amazon drivers and delivery workers, but that's a situation in the transportation industry. You've got people that are on the road, they're driving, you don't always have the ability to make a bathroom break. So if you got to go with whatever you got, and for Amazon to be like, no, this definitely never ever happens ever.
And then they had to admit it,
You gotta admit, because it's happened in the warehouses, it's happened in the trucks, and it's the world, guys. Everybody poops.
So on that note, so we were getting ready to wrap up here shortly. Any final thoughts? We had a Tesla social media person, I think, had a lot of attention and said, boy, I'm not big on the Ford. Tesla's all the way to go, and got an E-Mustang, if I'm more, an EV Mustang. So said it's not so bad, and there's a lot of haters out there saying, how can you say that?
The Mustang Mach-E, which is, it's not really a Mustang. It's a Mustang in name, and it's a Mustang from the front, but not really a Mustang from the back. But it is an electric car, and it's fast, and it's kind of cool, and it's Ford making a good move on electric cars, and Tesla's got a really big fan base. A lot of people that are like, Teslas are the only electric car that could be good. But the Mach-E is pretty cool too. It's up there. And so you've got some people that are trying to make comparisons, and you've got like the hit squad coming out from. It's not like Elon Musk is telling people, hey, go attack other people.
People are passionate about Tesla.
People are very passionate and very invested.
Yes.
That's, I think, a large part of it. People are very invested, and you don't have people that are that invested with Ford, right?
True. Yeah. Just look at the stock price, for example. It's night and day. Wow.
Yes.
You can't even compare it.
Absolutely.
But speaking of stock price here, as we wrap up, Tesla, its stock is down. It's kind of trending up. So good time to buy. We can't recommend stock picks.
It's always a good time to buy.
But Tesla is.
Don't take my advice as actual financial advice, because I'm not legally allowed to do that.
Right. But Tesla's doing well, and you always buy when it's low, sell when it's high. But I just buy Tesla and hang on to it.
Oh, well, I always buy when it's high and sell when it's low, but that's a different story.
Yeah. I don't know how well that works. But so we got some neat topics. Maybe next week we'll look at some EV.
We got
companies.
Apple talking about their approach to autonomous cars, electric cars, because on
the DL, but not really.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we do a little bit of this stuff, but we don't really do it. It's someone else maybe, but who knows? But hey, we're still doing it.
That's right. So there's a big rush. There's a lot of money out there.
Tim Cook, trying to stir up that, get people interested.
Yep, they're good at that.